So in-app payments. This skill sprint works with everything but Windows and OS 10. So I'm going to show you the Object Pascal, the Delphi source code, but there is also a demo available, sample available that works with C++ Builder. The reality is most of this is not complex in-app code. There's going to be a couple of things that are calling certain methods or properties, and that should be easy enough for you to translate in your head if you think in curly braces from the non-curly brace code that I'll show you. And then you can take a look at the C++ Builder version of the sample. A lot of it also is setting up stuff on the website. So there's a lot I have to cover here, and I'm going to try and get through it all. If not, the DocWiki tutorials walk you through all of it. That's what I used to figure this out for this presentation. So you can take a look at the DocWiki tutorials, which I will link you to, and you'll be a master in no time. One thing about this is one of those things that until you do it, you cannot really totally wrap your mind around all the steps involved as far as behind the scenes, setting up your bank account with Apple, setting up your merchant account with Google. You have to put your apps in the App Store, which takes, they want screenshots, they want descriptions, they want what languages, what countries. It's certainly an interesting process, and not a lot we can do to modify that because it is completely in Google and Apple's court. So anyway, let's get started. In-app payments, it's all about show me the money. Let your users make purchases in your apps. So you can use this to unlock new features, whether it be downloadable content, go from trial mode to paid mode, etc. You can use it to turn off advertising or nag screens. That's a really classic way to use in-app payments. Is the user buys the app and it has an ad, and either they use it with the ad where you're making money from the ad, or they say, you know what, I'm serious about using this thing and that ad's annoying, so I'm going to pay to get rid of it. You can also put in a virtual tip jar, so they can just say, hey, thanks for making this app. Here's a tip, and they can throw you some money. Of course, you'd be the amount you define. You can purchase either consumable or durable purchases. So consumables get used up. So the idea is they would buy maybe a one-time use item, and then at some point during using their app, they would use up that item. And so they would consume it and it would be gone. And it would, at that point, they'd have to purchase it again if they wanted to use it again. Durables remain in effect. So both of these you can query to see if they've made the purchase. So let's say they uninstall and reinstall the app, or they install the app on a new device. You can still query to see if they've been used up, if they've been purchased. But once they're consumed, if it's a consumable, then you query it and it says, yeah, they haven't purchased that. You need to purchase it again. So, and this works on both iOS and Android. Now, Apple does support in-app purchases on OS 10, and I don't believe this stuff works on OS 10. I think it's only for iOS. Maybe in the future we'll see a release that does include OS 10 support. Okay, so let's take a look at a demonstration and walk through some of this for in-app purchases. I'm going to gloss over a lot of things, but you're really going to have to read through Google and Apple's specs, what they require, and how they want you to set things up to really understand it. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff you need to know behind the scenes. So now we can go into the code. So this is our Capital Trivia app sample that ships with the product. So you can, like I said, there's a version of this for Object Pascal, which is what I'm looking at right now, or there's a version for C++. So whether you're curly braces or non-curly braces, you can find some code that works for you. So the way this works is they're on the option screen here. They can come in and they can make a purchase. So they can make a disable in-app adverts purchase, which would remove the ads. I don't think there's ads in here. I didn't see the ads. It could be because I'm running didn't have ads set up when I ran it. But you can go back and watch Marco's presentation on putting up ads in your application, and you'll see the ads show up. Then you can also make a purchase to add additional content, to add Europe. So see, here's Europe as an option here, but it's not available to the user. They won't see that option until they make this purchase of adding Europe questions. So this is a name the capital of the state, and then when they add Europe, it would be name the capital of this European country as well. This button here is what we would use to restore purchases. So let's say they've reinstalled their app on their device, so they lost all the local information. restore purchases is going to go out and query the App Store and say, hey, did they actually buy this? And if they did, it would add that they have purchased it. This item here, consume purchased items. This isn't something you're going to have in a typical app. What this does is it goes through and says that they've consumed the purchased items. So this turns these durable items into consumable items. So they get used up, so they'd have to purchase them again. So this is useful for demonstration purposes, but not useful in an actual app, unless you want your users to continue to buying disable in-app adverts, which, maybe you're going to let them, they only disable ads for 30 days or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how you'd want to do that, but that would be one reason you might consume something like that. Otherwise, this would be something they would use. Let's say they bought you have a game and they have a super mega bomb. They buy the super mega bomb. As soon as they use it, they would consume it, use it up, and then have to purchase it again. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. Okay, so in here, we're creating an instance of our T in-app purchase object. It's creating it in code here instead of at design time. But for Android, you need to have an application license key, and I'll show you how you get that. And you put that key in here. Now, this key is incredibly long, and you have a limit for string literals of being 255 characters. So I had to actually split the key into two parts. And so this actually here just concatenates two string literals together in order to get the key long enough. So that's what I had to do there. And so then we have two products available for purchase. And so these products have a product ID. And so here's the product ID. This needs to be unique. So I had to add my name, and then I added demo 1 on the end here because there's already an app in the App Store that has the COM Embarcadero capitals in-app purchase available. So I added my name and demo on the end so that it would be unique. So we add the items that we're going to purchase. So we're saying, hey, we support, this sets it up, it says we support in-app purchase right here. So it's set up in-app purchase. And these are the items that we have available for purchase. And then we have events set up here, event handlers, when setup's complete, on product request response, on error, and on purchase complete. And so these would be when the purchases take place, this is what comes back. So now let's look at how we make a purchase. If we go to the options screen and we just say we're going to purchase disable in-app adverts. All we do is say purchase product, and then we give it the ID of the product we want to purchase. So this will go out to the apps, give the pop up to the user so they can actually make the purchase, to go out to the App Store to, it'll say, hey, you want to buy no ads for however much money you decide to charge for it. Just select yes, and it makes the charge to the person's credit card, and you get the money. Let's see here. So this is for consuming the products. This does, it goes through and looks to see if they've purchased either of these items. If they have, it adds them to a string list. And then this call right here, consume products, consumes any of the product IDs that you've had added to that list. And so this will consume things. So if they've bought something you want to use up, this is the code you'd use here, is consume products. And let's see, the last one here is the restore purchases. All you do is make the call for restore purchases. So now to see if they've actually purchased it or not, under consume, you saw that where he makes that call. Let's see here well, anyway, this is the code you'd use. I don't see the spot where it's using it to change the UI, but you would use this here at some point, and you would call this method here is purchase product, or is product purchase, to see if they've made that purchase. And so the Google Play services, or Apple's whatever they call it, is going to maintain a list of what the users purchased. And so if you do the restore purchases, then it's going to have that information. All you have to do is query this here, and it's going to check either going out onto the App Store or check the local information to see if that product's been purchased. If it has, then it will return true, and then you can change your behavior of your app or change the UI of your app in order to indicate that. So, yeah, that's all there is to it from the code side. So this is very simple, as you can see, from a usability point of view. And I'll show you the event handlers here. So setup complete. So if right here we say if they've already purchased it, then we disable the UI for that, so we don't show that they can purchase it anymore, and we hide the banner ads if they have purchased it. And then here for Europe, so we're checking that. That's the code right there for that. And on purchase complete. So this comes back and shows us the product ID of what they've purchased. If it's no ads, then we go through and hide the ad. If they purchased Europe, then we show that Europe is available. So anyway, the rest of it pretty straightforward, very easy to use. So now let's take a look at the backend side of things. So this is the page you're going to go to in DocWiki or Rad Studio that's going to walk you through setting this all up. So there's two different versions. You're going to go to Google Play in-app billing to set up for Android or iOS in-app purchase. The license key is only needed for Android. On iOS, you don't need the license key. So the way you get the license key for Android development is you have to actually put your app in the App Store. Okay, so you need to go through and build for release, which this walks you through. If you go to Google App Billing, it says, hey, you got to build for release, which links to the thing on how to build for release, how to get your certificate set up, etc. And then you upload it to the App Store. Once you upload it to the App Store, then you can come to service. So you upload it to the App Store, which you're going to upload it on here. So you can upload it as alpha, which I'd recommend. And then once it's uploaded, you come down to services and APIs, and you get this big, huge string here, which actually I told you was huge. And you need to put that in your app. And so this is the string that identifies your license key for your app. So this is what identifies your app as being licensed from the App Store for in-app purchases. And so once you do that, then you need to come in. And one thing is during this process, occasionally they'll say, hey, you need to set up this, or hey, you need to do that. You do need to have the paid license from Google to put your apps in the App Store as well. So then once you do that, you come in here to say you want to add in-app purchase products. And so you click add new product, and you say, is this a managed product or unmanaged product? So you're all the stuff we support is managed products, and managed products are things that Google Play services are going to manage. And so this means that you can query them to see if they've made that purchase or not. So then you put the product ID. So the product ID is this string right here that we defined in our code that identifies that product. So you put the product key here, and once you do that, so here we have no ads and Europe questions. And so you give them a price. Let me edit one of these. What the price you want it to be, minimum price is 99 cents. And then you can specify what countries it's available. So right now I only have this available in the United States, but you could easily expand it. And I would have expanded it except for the fact it would have taken a lot more work to get this listed. So that's all there is to setting it up. Like I said, there's a few other things you're going to have to go through. It's going to say, hey, you need to set up a merchant account. Hey, you need to do this. And it's going to say, pop you out to each of those steps. The DocWiki guide, if you go into Google Play in-app billing, walks you through each of those steps, mentions it to you, links you to the pages you need to go to. So you need to create a signed APK, which links you to that, upload it to Google Play Store. And at that point, then you can set up your in-app billing in your app. So the other thing is for iTunes. So for iTunes, you have to go into iTunes Connect. You have to set up your app. You don't actually have to upload it. So that's one thing with Google is you have to upload your APK without in-app purchase support in order to add in-app purchase support to your app. Okay. So in here you come in and say, I want to, once you set it up, you come in and say, I want to manage, or actually first thing you gotta do is, where's this at? When you create, you have to create your app ID. And so your app ID is going to be the unique identifier for it. So you come in and it says, hey, do you want to use an existing app ID or make a new one? So you have this wildcard one. You can't use a wildcard one for in-app purchase. That's not an option. But once you make your app ID for your app that you're going to have in-app purchase, then you come in here and edit. And I think actually it's the default is to include in-app purchase. And you check this right here to enable in-app purchase. Once you've done that, then when you come into the screen for your app, you can come in here to manage in-app purchases and create a new I can't remember if it's consumable or non-consumable. I think it would be non-consumable. No, it would be either. It depends on what's going to be. It's consumable or non-consumable. Reference name. So this is just a friendly name you're going to use. Then the product ID, which again is this string here. Add that there. And then price information. And so the way they do it is by tiers. And so tier 1 is 99 cents. Tier 87 is $999. So pretty good spread there. I'm not sure. They do it by tiers. I'm not sure why. They used to do it by price. And then the alternative tier. So in this one, you notice that in USA, it's $999. And then in Mexico, it's $12,999. UK, it's $699. If you go to alternative tiers, instead of varying it by region or by country, by doing conversions, it just keeps it at that same tier in each country. So in USA, it's 99 cents, and UK, it's 99 cents, even though if you go to tier 1, it translates, or not translates, it converts it to 69 cents. So it keeps it roughly equivalent. So it depends on which way you want to price your product. Then you have to add what languages your product's available for. So say English, and then the display name will be Free Life. And description, you get an extra life. And then you need to have a screenshot. So the screenshot's for review purposes, just so they can see what it would look like when that purchase is made in your app. When you've done all that, then it'll be listed here. And see, this one still needs to wait for a screenshot. I think that's all the steps. I will come in here. I'll show you in case you haven't seen it, for provisioning. This is the easiest way to get there. Provisioning page. So for application store, you need to create a key store. So you just say new key store. This wizard walks you through it. You need to put a password and give it a file name, and then get the certificate out of there. So there's a certificate in there, password for the certificate, and set that up there. And then on your app as well, you need to specify which provisioning you want to use. So select the key store file you want to use, and then the key for it. If you load up the Capital Trivia one, it has when you go to select to build for application store, it's going to use the one. It's going to try to use the one that was used in QA. You don't have that key store, so make sure you come in here and specify which one you want to use for Android and which one you want to use for iOS device. So none of this does not work in the simulator. It only works on an actual iOS device. And I don't have my certificate set up in the application store yet, but DocWiki walks you through that entire process. Okay, so now I think that I've gone through all the pieces and parts. Like I said, there's a lot more you're going to go through. When you click to the website, it's going to say, do this, and you're going to, okay, and you're going to be doing it. It's going to take you a little bit of a while. Oh, let me show you the app running. So if I come in here to disable in-app adverts, right now it's going to say, hey, you're the publisher, you can't purchase this item. If you come in here and it says, it's not, what is the error message? It's going to say something along the lines of, this doesn't exist to be purchased. That means that you haven't either A, haven't defined it here, or B, you have to actually be published. So I had this published until this morning, so you have to publish it. It can be published in alpha or beta, and then it takes a couple hours for that to actually propagate out through the network. So once it becomes published, then it will switch from not available purchase to the publisher cannot purchase this item. Now there is documentation, and this links to it as well, that walks you through how to set up your app for trial purchases so that you can try out the purchase process without actually spending real money. Or in this case, I'm the publisher, I can't purchase it. So you can walk through that process there. Again, it's just some more steps you have to go through to set up your Google account or your Apple account to make the trial purchases. So when I tap this, you couldn't really see it, but there's a little progress indicator because it's got to go out to Google and say, hey, who's this? Is this available for purchase? Make a couple of queries, and then comes back and then displays this. So if I wasn't the publisher, then I could actually compensate, hey, do you want us to pay $1.99 to add whatever description I put in there for this purchase? And I would say yes, and it'd make the purchase and be done. Okay, so in-app payments is a third revenue option for your mobile apps. First option is App Store purchases. That's easy enough. You just define how much money you want to charge for people to download and install it. Second one is advertising, which you saw Marco cover. The third is in-app payment. So it's on all these, it's a 70-30 split, and who doesn't like a little extra money? Another way to make money with your mobile apps. I think, anyway, there's lots of ways, things you can add to your app to in-app purchase. And the reality is if you have an app in the App Store, you can add the ability for them to buy something additional, and you might be surprised how many people will buy it just because they like your app or they think it sounds like a useful feature, etc. So resources. The two samples are available there. I showed you the Object Pascal version, but the C++ version is also available, and it's the Capitals in-app purchase sample. And then there's a link to the DocWiki tutorial. That links to all the pages. There's a myriad of pages that you can link to from there that explains the different pieces. So if you need to know how to provision your app, if you need to know how to put it in the App Store, etc., all walks you through all those steps. More information, you can go to iTunes Connect there or the Google Play Dev Console from there. Next time, JT will be hosting and I'll be helping answer questions for find C11 references across your entire project. And the reason you should go to this one is because this one goes to 11. This is C++11, latest stuff, all the great new features. JT will be there talking about C++11 references. So that's Tuesday, the 29th of July. There's the times available for you. You can see the full schedule and replays available there. But wait, there is more. Thursday, July 31st, this was added. We weren't originally planning to do one on the 31st, but everybody loves skill sprints so much, we said, let's keep going. So Ray Konopka is going to come in and do effectively using Delphi generics. So the next one is C++ only. The one after that is Delphi only. So depending on your preference, you can go to the one that works best for you. Also, we have a new round of skill sprints starting in August. So that schedule's all filled out, ready to go. And the 31st, we'll publish information about it so that you can sign up for that one. So the current meeting you have scheduled now, the current GoToWebinar information, will work for the 31st. After 31st, you need to sign up again to get the August series of skill sprints. And we're continuing through September. So we're not stopping there. We've got September almost all flushed out as well. Still can be 3 times a day, still going to be twice a week. That's in August, in August, there's 4 weeks. So that's 24 skill sprints. You can watch it 3 times a day and just get your fill of skill sprints. You're going to have so many skill sprints, you're going to have knee splints when you're done. All right, that's it. Time for Q&A. So let me switch computers really quick. Joe points out Apple supports in-app purchases on OS X. And JT points out that we're only currently supporting iOS, but not OS X at this point. So eventually we might end up supporting OS X in-app purchases, but right now it's just iOS. We do support, you can put your app in the App Store. And so you can sell your app you developed with our tools through the, OS X App Store, I guess it is. And then Yen says Apple will reject any trial versions, but will accept light versions. Says the trial is considered a version that has a timeout and either stops working or removes significant functionality. A light version, on the other hand, would work forever and would start with less features, and then you could add more over time, which is a perfect application of in-app purchase. Exactly. So instead of you're not selling a trial version, you're selling a light version, and they would buy the light version and then unlock features. So those features could be as simple as removing an app or removing an ad or removing a nag screen or unlocking additional functionality. What about selling non-US apps that is not English, German? Yeah, so you can sell, I didn't show the screens, but it gives you what regions do you want to sell in, what languages do you want to support. Google actually will say, hey, do you want Google Translate to auto-translate your app into Swahili? And you say, yes, let's do that. And it'll translate into Swahili. And unless you speak Swahili, you have to take Google's word for it that they had actually translated it correctly. So they will translate that for you. On the Apple side, you have to translate it yourself, but you can sell in any language, any region that they have an app store available. So Dave asks, if one person, single account, has 2 devices, is separate purchase history kept for each device or just for the account? So it's just for the account. So if someone makes a purchase, because when you, okay, so I'll walk through the scenario. If they have device 1 and they make a purchase on device 1, then you'll get that event back that says the purchase was completed, and you can then alter your app's behavior to show that. And then later you can just query and it's going to say, yeah, they've made that purchase. You have that information cached locally on their device until you consume it. Okay, if they go to their second device and they run your app, your app's never made the query to go out and see if they've made that purchase, so it doesn't know that they've made that purchase. But if they go into that restore purchases feature, or you could do that, I guess, automatically, it will go out and query the Play services or Apple and say, hey, have they purchased this? They'll say, oh yeah, they purchased this on their device. And you say, okay, great, now I know. And so then you would have that information locally, and you can then alter your behavior. Now, if they purchase it on device 1 and then consume it on device 1 and then go to device 2 and say, hey, did they purchase this? And say, nope, has not been purchased because it's been consumed. It's been used up. It's no longer listed as a purchase. Goes up to, yeah, Bruce, thanks. Goes up to 11. Yes, that's the reason you should be there next week. Next week, because it goes up to 11. Which that's a Spinal Tap reference, but if the word try, okay, so Jens points out that if you say trial anywhere in your app, it will be rejected. So if you're putting it in the Apple App Store, don't say trial, say light. And then they will accept it, and you can let people unlock the additional features to have the full functionality in your app. So yeah, it's a matter of semantics and a matter of exactly how it works. But so I guess I shouldn't have said trial. I believe Google does say that you can do a trial though. So again, you're going to have to consult what they have for the rules for the App Store. And you have a number of the steps is agreeing to different agreements. 70-30 split for iTunes and Google Play. Yes, I believe it's for both. Like again, check it out. They might have different levels that might have different splits, etc. But you would want to check that to see exactly what those the split is on those. So one note about doing the purchase of tokens or some other microcurrency or micropayments, whatever you want to call them, is that the user would purchase the pack of tokens, and then you would store those locally and use them up. You would keep track of the inventory of how many tokens they have yourself. So you'd have to write that out to your local storage so that they would eventually use them all up. So yeah, that should work. So as long as you kept track of that yourself, throw it out to local storage, that would work. But then if they tried to restore the purchase because it was consumed, they wouldn't restore back and wouldn't get them again. One note about purchases, though, like for something like that, you'd want to consume it right away, because they could install the app on one device and then go to the other device and restore purchases. And if you haven't consumed it yet, then they'll restore it and you get the 1,000 tokens again. And then if they then disconnect from the internet, it would, and consumed those, you wouldn't be able to synchronize back to the other device that had been consumed. So yeah, you would want to make sure that you think through those scenarios. And again, consulting their documentation is going to have more information on how it would work, because yeah. So yeah, it would work. Your application can only make purchases while they're online. So if they click purchase and they're online, it can't connect. The internet can't make the purchase. Once you make the purchase, it'll work. The app can work offline. But then if you want to consume something, for example, the market is consumed, you wouldn't be able to synchronize that back across until they're back online. So it doesn't require that your app be online your app doesn't require an internet connection all the time, but it would require an internet connection in order to interact with the store. Is there a subscription in iTunes or Google where a bought product runs for a time period, or do I manage that myself? So there is a concept of a subscription in the store, and I don't remember which store I saw it in. There is one though, and I don't remember if you're able to purchase a subscription with the API we have set up. So it might be something you need to manage yourself. So before I suggest that you try managing one yourself, make sure you check their terms of service and how they want you to run things before you get too creative, because they would have rules about that. For example, like I mentioned, if you can't have a trial mode in iOS. So if you say, oh, we could revert back to trial mode, well, all of a sudden now you're going to get kicked out of the iOS App Store because you can't be a trial mode. So yeah, consult their terms of service, their rules, and their guidelines about how to do that, and then you can go from there. You know, just because our in-app purchase API doesn't necessarily wrap the subscription purchase model, doesn't mean you can't, for example, expand that yourself, because it might be, and I don't remember for sure, but it might be that only Android supports subscription and iOS doesn't, and so we only have the wrapper for the non-subscription model because that's what's common between the two. But you can go back and consult our sessions we did on adding more Android calls with Jay and I, and you could totally wrap that the other types of API, other purchases like subscription purchase on Android, and take advantage of that. So that's available to you as well. I was talking to someone today about the difference between stuff we have wrapped and stuff we don't have wrapped. And the thing is that we have all this stuff that's incredibly easy to use. Like, for example, taking advantage of in-app purchase in your application, very, very easy to use. And the stuff that we don't have wrapped, you'd have to make the API calls, the platform API calls. And see, the thing is that using anybody else's tool, if you're using Google's Android Studio or using a number of the other third-party tools out there, that's exactly what you'd have to do to begin with. You'd have to do that for all of your in-app purchases. You'd have to go to the API yourself. So we make some things a lot easier. Everything else would be as if you were just using another tool. So still a huge advantage, even if we don't wrap everything. So again, make sure you join us again on the 31st, or I guess both Tuesday and Thursday next week for the last two sessions this month. And then again next month in August for the whole new series of developer skill sprints going on then. Lots of great things going on, lots of fun, and a lot more exciting stuff to come. Yes, Ken, so make sure you're here for the C++ Builder 1 on Tuesday with JT, C++ Builder 11. Find references. Sounds really, really cool stuff, actually. I was telling more about that today. So for those, let's see, we have 58% of you are currently building mobile apps. So now those of you, 58% of you that are currently building mobile apps can add in-app purchase to your apps. So in-app purchase, ads, app store purchases, you're all going to be App Store millionaires in the near future. I can see it now. All right, fabulous. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for making Skill Sprint such a great success. We're happy that you're all joining us and getting good information out of this, and looking forward to you joining us in the next few skill sprints this month and all throughout the months to come as we continue doing skill sprints and sharing all the exciting features and functionality of our development tools. So thanks a lot, and until next time, goodbye.